What's going on, peeps? On this channel, we love to defend overhated artists like Benson Boone. This time, I stumbled upon a strange sensation you may remember from the lockdown alt-pop era, Penelope Scott. Most known for the platinum certified Rat. You can hear the anger in her voice as she ramps through messages often political and borderline depressing. She honestly reminds me of like a female grandson. Many have called her folk punk, anti-punk, chiptune, hyperpop, indietronica, but she has yet to hear a genre that describes her music. Penelope has a private demeanor to her. Not a lot is known about her personal life, with only clues being integrated into the lyrics. You'll only really see her through live performances and casual videos on TikTok, featuring originals where she sings and plays piano to her 500,000 followers. You'll soon come to find out she's pretty chronically online. Either you think she is a genius, or the worst artist ever. Some will tell you she's so smart, just watch the Genius interview, has millions of views for a reason. Or they'll tell you to stay away unless you want your ears to bleed. Cause unfortunately by 2021, it had become more than just regular hate to her. She was seemingly bullied off the internet for the music she had created. Or is that a stretch? There's a lot of questions about this girl that not a lot of people are able to answer. Why do people like her, hate her, and where did she even come from? All important questions, but you may also wonder, where's she now? In this video we will go through history, discography, and more to find out what happened to Penelope Scott. Backstory is pretty limited, but basically she was born in the year of 2000 in California. She was constantly exposed to music during younger years, where something was always being blasted during car rides or at home. Her tour roadie father taught her how to use a mic and showed her the technical side of music. Her mom had signed her up for piano lessons when she was around 8 or 9, and she kept playing throughout her teen years, likely also being taught by her organ-experienced grandmother. In middle and high school, she taught herself pop songs by ear, wrote lyrics in her notes app, and learned how to record music. After high school, she went to Willamette University in Oregon, where she joined the choir, learned guitar, and majored in political science while also studying philosophy and computer science. During her senior year, she took an online music production class due to COVID-19, starting off with the free open source software LMMS and iPhone voice memos before moving on to Pro Tools a year later. She started sharing her music online in 2018 on SoundCloud under the name Honey Morello. Her first song, Papaya Whip, was released on June 16th. She saw it more as a placeholder for better material at the time, mainly because all these songs are just pretty much raw acoustic cuts you record on like some crappy mic. Throughout 2018, she'd release a few more raw acoustic cuts each month, Something Blue, Warm Regards from Russia for Love, and Ghost Chase. She would stop posting until May of next year, returning with Drizzle and American Healthcare. Morello released her first EP, Goblin Hours, on Bandcamp on October 24th, 2019. The title is based on her habit of calling certain things, people, and songs goblins for some reason. The first 3 songs would later be remastered and remade for future releases, besides the eerie closer Halloween in July, with tongue-in-cheek, bit-crushed spoken word passages and creepy lo-fi synthwork, defending yourself against a lover instead of hiding, using the metaphor of a stalker or killer to describe the man. Truly out-crazying the crazy one. Supposedly taken from serial killer Richard Ramirez, aka Night Stalker's first victim, Jenny's point of view. After releasing 6 songs under Honey Morello, she changed her name to Penelope Scott for this next release, Junkyard. It was released on February 27, 2020, where, similar to the previous EP, the first 5 songs were completely polished up and refined in the future. As for the 2 others, Drizzle was written while studying philosophy and keeping up with current events. She'd spend hours thinking about what's right and wrong, then hear about another shooting in the news. The song brings those 2 things together. There's more weird synth work here, but the singing is pretty relaxing and raw. Shitty song to listen to after a shooting is another song about the constant shootings in the US. This time completely acoustic, using over-the-top insults against politicians, the shooters, and the media that gives the murderers fame. A bit distracting, but there's some TV show playing with audience laugh effects in the background that I guess lightens the mood a bit. The sequel, Junkyard 2, is another collection of her best material at the time, with a reverberating piano, arriving May 13th, 2020. To get her music out of the Bandcamp circle, she tried something different. During the pandemic, she had joined TikTok to browse for memes and funny videos of her friends. At first, she posted TikToks with her friends and occasionally music-related content. However, during April 2020, inside of her bedroom, one TikTok featured a song she had just written, Sigra Ahigo, that later was removed from the app once people started using the audio, apparently due to the lyric, I kid you not, hate incels, just have sex. Something tells me that Twitch would do the same thing. She would continue to share her creations as a part of a homework assignment and eventually build a small following quickly due to most of the world being on their phones. Being intrigued by her upbeat yet dark style with nods to emo rapper Corpse, yes husband, and lo-fi act Nelly McKay lyrically. This entire record is recorded in one singular channel featuring her vocals and either a piano or guitar. That's it. Couldn't even be bothered to cut out the ruffling noise at the beginning of each track when started recording. But you know, the low quality VTech microphone aesthetic adds to the charm of this record. It's music that clearly wasn't meant to reach so many people. Helps her vocals have this playful, youthful attitude with a lot of bite, despite the heartbreaking content. Almost reminds me of like early Bo Burnham music with less edginess and comedy due to the bouncy piano melodies. Sweet Hibiscus Tea pictures someone with low self-esteem that doesn't feel important, falling apart, learning nothing as they grow. Nothing appears to make them happy, even hibiscus tea. Life is just miserable. Lavender explores the mixed emotions towards someone she loves, being unsure about commitment. Baxter Third is Under Fucking Siege is inspired by her time at university, where Baxter is the dorm for first-year students. Apparently the third floor used to be a main spot for the parties. I could see this as her trying to relax and be at peace, but there is this loud sound keeping her up, possibly from the parties. Others have said this could be about the act of going through suicide. Either interpretation could be right because these lyrics are just depressing. Mommy Friend discusses a harmful sexual relationship where a boy struggles with mental health and the girl is overwhelmed, believing they shouldn't be each other's therapists. You Should Know is a note from the void after death, sharing her regrets, especially wishing she had taken more chances in life. Hammerhead appears to be based on the people you left behind, where leaving was needed to move forward in life and possibly improve you mentally. Kind of similar to Bounce Man by 21 Pilots lyrically. Lukewarm is how life feels as someone struggling with serious mental illness, like feeling stuck or just average without progress. Montreal features a college student fighting depression despite all the benefits in their life, with these thoughts peaking during the summer due to loneliness. When this trip to Montreal is brought up by her friends, they tell them not to worry about her, but secretly they're stuck in dark thoughts, unsure if they'll ever escape this cycle or even make it to this trip. Closing out with lo-fi instrumental phones featuring sounds like a phone, dialing and her voice saying hello. Sweet Hibiscus Tea went viral the same month it came out, with her draft of Born to Run also catching some buzz. Even with the lo-fi recording quality, the brilliance of the songwriting and performance still shine through to a lot of people. Scott never expected the Junkyard 2 to take off this way, especially since it wasn't mixed at all, assuming anyone would turn it off immediately, aside from a small group of fans who had asked her to upload them to Spotify. It turned out even outsiders enjoyed what she was putting together here, and so she realized she needed to start actually mixing her songs. From there is a fast increase in numbers and the amount of people she was interacting with, from trying to reply to everyone's comments and questions to barely getting through half of them. She knew she had to step up her game. She moved away from piano, started using music software, and gave her songs a bolder, weirder, and more catchy sound, taking us to her debut album Public Void, first released on Bandcamp on August 29th, and later to stream platforms on September 25th. Through the fake label name Tesla's Pigeon through DistroKid. This effort explores adulthood and questioning American society. She uses rough sounding audio and techno-inspired music to express her ideas and critiques with a dark, distorted style. The title comes from the first two words in a Java coding method that doesn't return anything. It could symbolize being seen by everyone with her popularity suddenly ramping up, but feeling empty, ignored, or powerless. Kicking off with the off-kilter bit-pop chaos of Sigra Ahigo. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, to be honest, where a college sophomore feels overwhelmed with how life is going, especially after high hopes freshman year. Pretty much a sophomore slump of drinking, smoking, and distractions like Ahigo are used to cope with the feeling. They may have hope for the future, but they're not there yet. Quite an artistic silliness to this, going from overblown bass to light keyboard touches to a combination of both, capturing this 8-bit aesthetic. La True Crime has a much moodier, darker sound with a playful attitude from Scott, detailing an interesting analysis of how more women are getting to true crime specials and notices how media glorifies serial killers. Pretty concerning stuff, and nothing has changed. Filled with ominous electropop swing and cold organs almost out of a vampire movie, American Healthcare is from the viewpoint of a young US doctor doctor attacking the healthcare system. Should relate to any medical professional hoping to help others but feels crushed by a system caring more about profit than people. Feel Better is that feeling of being so full of life with a summer lover, but after the breakup she angrily doubts she'll ever be loved that way again. Contains a distorted organ synth that captures her anger as she spills her guts in a satirical, self-deprecating way. Moon Sickness sees her frustration with life's repeating struggles, suffering, and this sadness towards all the bad things that keep happening. The distorted, glitchy synthwork of Dumpster explores her worries of settling down in this modern society. She would love to live an adorable, charming, loving life, but fears being trapped by mortgages, traditional family roles, and other financial pressures. Concluding with her biggest hit, Rat. I can see why, the hook is catchy, that many have called a Elon Musk or elongated muskrat breakup diss song. I guess old Donnie could relate to this one, huh? Like many Gen Z kids, she admired scientists and tech leaders from Silicon Valley, but after seeing how corrupt these leaders have become, she finds herself rejecting them while acknowledging their smarts. It's this conflicting way of hating the rich, but secretly looking up to them somewhat. Naming off these projects they announced that drew excitement to her. They've even inspired people like her to do great things and pursue something she now loves, like coding, making it sting even harder now that you find out who they are, especially with plans to colonize Mars. It definitely reminds me of that moment when you find out this person you looked up to turns out to be a bad person. I wonder why this song is trending again. She posted 2 short clips of her song Rat on TikTok. Even though the song wasn't finished yet, it quickly went viral online. Upon its release, it continued to take off as the year went on. By late 2020, it peaked at number 29 on Billboard's Alternative Songs chart. The song was used in over 50,000 TikToks from cosplay to art and makeup. While the lyrics are ear-catching due to the critique of Silicon Valley and Elon Musk, its pulsating beat makes it a great background track. I guess despite how niche the sound was, the lyrics were internet savvy enough to work. It started getting shared rapidly around the internet, from political corners to Elon Musk's hate bases to emo alt spaces. Scott would be featured on Rolling Stone's Breakthrough 25, where she was ranked 5th with 5 million streams that week and 3 million monthly listeners, all done without a major label or widespread media coverage, just pure fan love and whoever was willing to listen. She's had interest in record labels, but no deal has ever won her over. Even now, she chose to stay independent, distributing her music through DistroKid for just $20 a year, choosing Zach Cirillo from Alternative Side as her manager, and Greg Horrible from APA Agency as her booking agent, allowing her to maintain full control and ensure she receives a fair share of income from her music. Instead of her music being forced down people's throats, she prefers a more organic approach, where she wants the music to reach the people that need it. Her sound would be compared to something out of a video game, seen by the chiptune production, with lyrics straight out of a edgy girl's Tumblr page that can either be devastating or comical. She's a big fan of stand-up comedy after all. All the while this was happening, Scott continued to finish up college and have a fairly anonymous profile to let her fans figure out and decipher the songs themselves. To capitalize on the success, Scott teased and released Born to Run on November 4th, 2020, with this distorted guitar-led and eerie synth sing-along vibe. The song ended up finding more attention after a certain attack on January 6, 2021, once you dig into its lyrics about a fictional version of a similar event involving the current state of healthcare, gun control, and Congress. It's an overall critique and outcry to US politicians, pointing out how political figures are usually full of scandals, and watching the news can be really depressing, but it's necessary to stay informed. Also feeling betrayed, especially as these were the people who taught her about human rights, but are now making corrupt choices going against those same rights. With Gen Z becoming more invested in politics than ever, Scott's next few months were fairly stressful after finding success so suddenly. She would make connections and continue to record new music. By mid-2021, her catalog had acquired nearly 100 million streams. Since this was the golden age for independent artists to go viral on TikTok before major labels caught on and oversaturated the platform, it created the perfect storm for Penelope's rise. In July 2021, she released 7 O'Clock and announced her next EP, Hazards, which came out on August 27th through many Hash distribution. 7 O'Clock experiments with auto-tune for this lo-fi hyperpop aesthetic you'll hear throughout, detailing the anxious, boring, overwhelming, and stressful routines of life. Yeah, I never had a Tumblr phase, but something tells me a lot of these lines came from it, as she's slowly falling apart on the buzzy, chaotic soap, becoming more distressed and negative as the song goes on. There's something cathartic about it that works well for me. Dead Girls criticizes the romanticizing of death, how we we should show just as much love and care to the living, especially ourselves and those close to us, as we do to the dead. Bad advice goes on about her depressive struggles with being body shamed. Even if those comments aren't true, she starts to believe she needs to be thin, showing how powerful and misleading the mind can be. I can't lie though, the vocals are a bit grating here and harshly cutting into the mix. Or in regards to the stress of becoming an adult in college where you need to get a job and start thinking about your future, all while watching the world fall apart around you. Then there's the controversial self-care, listing off popular self-care trends that range from healthy to destructive, showing how mental health is often treated like a product, with people looking for easy outside solutions, all while you're getting blasted with video game effects, harsh bass hits, and the sound of somebody taking... Honestly, I don't even know what the heck that sound is. He might just be taking damage or something like that. Either that or someone is taking a mad shit. Can't say this one was good on the ears for me either. I feel like this EP has leaned way too heavy on distortion and being amateur, that's all. Penelope wrapped up a crazy year of some promising news. A cover of Carrie Underwood's Before He Cheats for the Recording Academy's Reimagined series in a much more minimalistic, calm lo-fi way in comparison to the fierce original that absolutely slaps. She announced her first tour, starting the US West Coast in December 2021. She also planned East Coast shows for January 2022, but those were canceled due to rising COVID cases. She had no prior experience performing at a show, so she used her liking of stand-up comedy to present her art on stage. Unfortunately, her popularity would decline pretty harshly by 2022 as public opinion shifted. She was criticized on Reddit and TikTok for being chronically online and having cringe political takes. Critics argue that her music was too focused on frustration and anger, or tackled systematic issues like healthcare that felt overwhelming to listeners. Self-care, for example, struck a nerve due to poking fun at superficial wellness trends as skincare and get ready with me videos were at their peak. But none of this really justifies the hate she received. After dealing with a lot of negativity online, she left TikTok to protect her creativity and found happiness in performing live. In May 2022, Scott performed at the Belltown Bloom Music Festival in Seattle. She started a new US headline tour in June, joined by Rosie Tucker, Fan Club Wallet, and Yacht Club. In July, she toured Europe with support from Addison Grace. In 2023, she went on another European tour and worked on new music. While she returned to social media occasionally, her main focus was now creating meaningful music on her own terms, without pressure from algorithms. She didn't care if it made her less popular. On September 25th, Penelope announced 2 EPs full of scraps that she wanted to put out for starving fans. This split of releases was intentional, so her fans could easily sort these songs by mood ahead of time. The first one was Girls Night on November 3rd, 2023, featuring a lot of songs she had in the works for years, with a singular instrumental focus on each track, making this reminiscent of the Junkyard 2. As seen by the heavy guitar focus of Sudafed, that is certainly more refined mixing-wise in comparison to the raw one-take filmed on a shitty mic aesthetic of that previous record. Someone she likes doesn't feel the same, which makes her really anxious and starts creating these bizarre fantasies in her head. She wants the other person to like her, but it doesn't happen. Over the Moon follows in a similar style, being completely in love with someone, even listing how far they'd go to live with them. Cabaret is more piano-focused and is easily her longest song to date, that packs a crazy complicated story. Where she meets a new lover, quickly falls deeply in love, she ends up getting cheated on, and her ex calls her music a cabaret, not in a good way. At first she felt angry at the other girl, then angry at her ex, then just sad. Later, after finding out her ex abused the other girl too, she looks for a friendship with her. Others theorize she ends up falling in love with the girl. At the same time, it feels like a defense of her music becoming popular and the negativity that came from it on the internet, especially in the first section. Or is this partner she had wanting to hear a different song from a girl that isn't her? She's even admitted it was based on a small petty event, but it really expresses pride in taking her art seriously. But I think the sequel track comes from the perspective of the ex. He acknowledges how much he messed up and how much they were truly loved by her. So he truthfully expresses his regret leaving, and I can see where it may come from her perspective again, realizing she'll never be with the person she loves again, but I don't know. This just made more sense to me. Runaway shows her healing from past pain and admits she can imagine a future with someone else, wanting to go anywhere just to be together. Time of My Life ends things differently than the prior tracks, including an actual drum beat, synth line, and multi-tracking. possibly teasing what's next, as it details their relationship burning to the ground and struggling to accept it, expressing she'll always love him. 2 weeks later, another EP, Mysteries for Rats, was released on November 17th, 2023. That was the relatively new side of the 2 EPs, with more recent made material, reminiscent of Public Void. The lead single, Gross, was released on September 20th, after being tried out at concerts and teased on Instagram. The title comes from Chomsky's idea of universal grammar. Humans are natural beings with limited intelligence by design, then some questions will always be beyond our understanding, not because we're weak, but because our minds have natural limits. Just like rats can't solve certain problems, so we're all trying to find a way to function within unfunctionable territory. Gross is surrounded by electronic synths and passionate vocals, seeming like a situationship that leads to actual feelings being brewed when they weren't supposed to. Mexico reminds me of Hammerhead, feeling alone, hopeless, and urgently wanting things to be different, inspiring a trip to Mexico as where she is now is just filled with nothing but brokenness, as the pulsating synth and deadpan lo-fi vocals rage on. Her favorite is Sin Eater, a deep self-hatred, mental health issues leading to a struggle to be in a relationship. She feels guilty, impure, unworthy, broken, not good enough, and feels like she deserves to be mistreated for what she has become, with light and glossy instruments tingling throughout. In comparison to Shuffle, that is pure chaos production-wise, guided by auto-tuned vocals, covering a conversation with a flame about how messed up the world is, how she wishes it could change, being let down by how it was portrayed highly growing up, while hoping to stay together if the world was to end. Cemetery Pigeons is also pretty all over the place, feeling depressed from losing a loved one with hints of the stress of the 2020 pandemic, starting with soft buzzy synths to airy chimes on the chorus, to an upbeat piano-directed bridge and kind of a swapping between sections from there. Despite Penelope being several years past her peak, she was still getting hate. It's not just from outsiders, even fans are disappointed. Some think her newer music simply just isn't as good as her earlier work. Too much auto-tune use and the production gets grating. The way she sings, where her voice can be seen as flat or irritating, and they feel like the low-budget homemade production sounds amateurish now. It seems like they just outgrew her. Her fame was connected to a 2020 TikTok style, emo alt with a quote pansexual Monster Energy vibe that now gets crapped on. When fans moved on from that style, Penelope became an easy target, making the whiny political statements and edgy worldview she often has seem performative. But despite the criticism from old fans and outsiders, many people still really connect to her music, especially with the honest lyrics, political messages, and emotion. Some do think the hate is unfair and more about changing trends or sexism than real problems with her work. On April 11, 2024, Penelope released a statement about the hate on her Substack page. She stepped away from social media because it was overwhelming, confusing, and didn't align with her identity as a musician rather than an influencer. She views social media more as a tool for attention than a genuine community, and she wanted to focus on her music and mental health instead of chasing online engagement. After being diagnosed with OCD and learning how damaging social media's compulsive nature could be, she focused on her well-being. Now with clearer boundaries and understanding of her role, she would return to social media on her own terms, hoping to engage in a better way. This time for cute collages inspired by her songs and write-ups on Substack. Taking us to her second album that would be her first in 5 years. It's her most polished one by far. After years of self-producing as a way to help herself learn and improve as a musician, she teamed up with Max Herschel to produce this latest record at Silverstone Studios. It's new and experimental, but still has her usual smart-ass lyrics about society, specifically focusing on girlhood. Throughout the record, the girl is seen as an animal, a spirit, and a strange being. The lead single, Girls Always Right, arrived on February 27, 2025, with the full album arriving on March 14, 2025 as Water Dogs. Girls Always Right is the awkward clashing of feminism and dating nowadays. Should I be submissive, settle down and accept blame, or stand up for myself? Enjoy the bedroom and hyperpop combo here. Naiad Girl explores how women adapt to survive in a world shaped by power, love, and control, comparing women to selkies, mythical creatures that can change between seal and human by taking off or putting on their seal skin. They're often shown as attractive and seductive, forming a relationship with sailors or fishermen. The man ends up stealing the selkie's seal skin to force her to stay and marry him, but she always misses the sea and may return to it if she finds her skin again. Spirit is a cutesy mid-tempo bop tackling adulthood in its chaos, finding purpose. She pushes back against skepticism and chooses to see beauty in everyday things despite its flaws. As Pisces Tears sees Scott becoming a woman, recognizing the beauty and pain and navigating confusing, harsh experiences with men. Moving to the ballad Charlotte's Hymn, a reference to Lolita with inspiration from the movie American Beauty, and a BoJack Horseman episode called Escape from LA, A Tale of Two Charlottes from Lolita and BoJack Horseman. Both women deal with a man hurting their daughters and struggle with their own self-worth. Dolores is protected by her mother from borderline pedophile Hubert in Lolita, and in BoJack, the mother threatens BoJack when she learns what she did to Penny. It shows women can try their best for the men in their lives but still face betrayal. Girlhood is a love letter to all women, even the trashy and sexual ones, understanding how they do what they need to survive. Water Girl has a ton of water effects to portray an upset girl who cries a lot and can't find happiness but learns to live with the pain. Finally, we see the revival of this old stage name for this drum and bass experiment, A Girl Alone. A girl's fear of being alone, detailing the chaos and vulnerability as a result. If you go to honeymorello.com, aka her old stage name, you'll find a mysterious website that looks like Penelope Scott opened up an ARG. Looking at this music video for Gross and a few of her recent shorts, something seems unordinary about them. I believe they deserve to be explored more in depth. Problem is, we are already how long to this video now? I want to give you all the best content possible and not make anything feel rushed. So I believe I'm going to have a part 2 next week surrounding this possible ARG and more. Who knows, maybe the website will be updated as soon as I publish this. If you're a big fan of Nexpo or Nick Crowley, you're gonna like this next one. It'll be worth the wait. 5 years after its release, Rat is trending again for obvious reasons. It's possible that the world just wasn't ready for Penelope Scott. Despite the hate she gets, she's still actively making music, performing, and posting on social media. I guess she got the last laugh. To fans, she's a smart and talented artist who was just ahead of the curve. Nobody deserves to be bullied off the internet. While not a lot of her music is my cup of tea personally, I think she has a bright voice, full personality that may get grating at points, but there's a lot of charm to it, as well as her overall material. If I was to pick a proper genre for it, cyberpunk folk. I hope Penelope believes I have a point with this term. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, subscribe and like for more based content. I'll see you on the next one. Make sure to love all and peace.